Now, you've done a great job to get through the course so far. Page building is really flexible, which is why at the core of it, we start with our templates to give you a huge head start with already pre-designed things to be able to play with. But I'm glad you've been able to learn some tricks and tips so far. The last one we want to focus on though is responsive design. And this is really important. Responsive design means that the site that you create needs to respond in sizing for all the different device types out there, such as mobile, tablet, or desktop. But desktop might be a 13-inch laptop. It could be a 24-inch monitor. It could be a 50-inch monitor. And what your site looks like on each of these screen sizes really makes a difference to your user experience. Now, this is what we call responsive design. We want to make sure that anything that you're putting in here is going to respond to the different device types used. So let me give you an example. This is the campaign we've created so far in this little course. And we can see we have our hero row, we've got some text rows, we've got the feed block working really well, and some leaderboards and our footer down the bottom. Now, this is what it looks like on my 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is great. I can see almost everything that I need to see. My banners are working really well, and I've got all the things there. But if I was to inspect this, as you can see, as this responds to different screen sizes, so you can see what's called a breakpoint here. Now, this breakpoint is typically for tablets. So this is kind of the view we're looking at what your site will look like on tablet. And if I scroll down a little bit, you can kind of see things get maybe a little bit more bunched up than we're looking. So some different things you may want to consider. But let's shrink this down to the size of what my iPhone is, which is 380 pixels wide, which is about here. Now, don't worry about all this gobbledygook. I'm just focusing in on this. If I scroll down, you can see that it's all now shrinking into a single column. And because of that, there are some different things we may want to be thinking about. And that's what we want to explore quickly now. Within Razy, you have some great tools to help you control responsive design. So let's take you through a couple of them. The first one you want to be looking at is on your background images. If you use background images like this on your different device types, if you open up the background image, you have the option for desktop, tablet, and mobile, and you can set the focal point for these. This is going to just give you the position of where you want the image to be for this particular device. And that can be really, really worth playing around with those kind of ones too. One of the ones I do also recommend with buttons is if we open up, go to advanced attributes, and at times use buttons full when we can. This is just going to mean that on mobile, it's going to stretch the width of the mobile and be a little bit more prominent for you as well. Or at times we use buttons half to do a similar thing. The other thing to do as well as we sort of said in previous ones, if a row's really not looking the best on mobile, maybe just create another version of that row. Simply by duplicating it, going into the row, and adjusting the show on desktop, show on tablet, and show on mobile settings available for you there as well. Now, some of the other things to consider when you are working with responsive design is when you use more than one column. When you got this one's fine because it's got no content on the second column. But on this one, it does have content on the second column, which means that you just want to add a little bit of spacing onto the top of this column or the bottom of this one, so on mobile, everything isn't bunched up. If you go into the row settings, columns, and select in the mobile version, you can see that I've added a bottom margin of 30. So that means on mobile, when it all sort of crunches up, it's going to give it that nice little spacing available for you as well. Now you have flexibility within each of the blocks to actually be considering whether you want this block displayed on mobile or not. And let me give you a really good example of this. I'm going to get rid of these buttons here, and I'm going to add what is called our donation button. The donation button is a pop-up modal of the donation form. So I'm going to give it 30 pixels margin. I'm going to give it attributes buttons full. And I'm just going to change out the style. Awesome. Now this button modal is brilliant when it comes to making sure people can donate to you on mobile because you can put a whole bunch of these everywhere on your site and they're not going to take up much real estate at all, which I really, really love. So the button modal is a really, really good one. So let's just have a look. We'll save. Let's preview this. And that's looking like a really good donation experience and using the button modal. When I go to mobile, it's just not going to take up much real estate, which is terrific. But say, for example, I'm using this because on the other alternative, I have my donation form. Now on desktop, my donation form is going to look excellent because I have the real estate space that I need for this. But say, for example, on mobile, I might just want my button modal instead. So what I could very well do is on the donation form, go to advanced, on mobile, hide this off. But now for this one, I'm going to hide for desktop and for tablet and save that. Now, if I was to go into my mobile view, as you can see, I can't actually see my donation form. I just see the button, which is available for me. But if I went into my desktop view, I wouldn't see the button at all. I just see the full form. So using these things to think through responsive design is going to be really helpful. And at times it's a bit of a play and testing around. One of the things I do very, very often when trying to look at sites to see how they do respond on the different devices is get those devices out and look at them on those devices, see how your page is responding and make adjustments there. Hope that really helps you think through responsive design and all things Page Builder.